Hey, so this morning I'm going to map out the Lower Rock River. I'm going to start by looking at Prophetstown, kind of work my way downriver towards the Quad Cities to try and determine a good river trip for us. So, with that, so first off, the town of Prophetstown, they have a town state park and there's a boat launch right here. They actually have a campground that's back here as well, too. Hypothetically, we should be able to park here overnight, but it doesn't look like there's any parking restrictions in the town. So I figure if worst comes to worst, either we park in the grocery store or park on the street right here or something to leave a car overnight. But basically, I'm going to route out the distance from here to here and point to point so we can determine how many miles do we want to go and kind of figure the amount of mileage between different launch points so we can see are we doing too little, too much, that kind of thing. Alright, so about 3.6 there. And you'll notice on this map there's not a whole lot of speedboat traffic going through here. Not a lot of houses, not a lot of docks. And sometimes Google Satellite will pop up speedboats, actually, that you can see on the river too. So always a good thing when we don't see that, I guess. Now, usually on camping trips, I'll kayak about 15 miles a day. That being said, let's say we do something more like 20 miles or 25 miles. So this is about 10 miles in. Like this could be a potential campsite. You can see there's a sandbar right here and right here. Obviously, it depends on the water levels and whatnot. But I'm kind of looking at that, going, "Hey, that might be a good spot," especially considering it's right at the 10-mile marker. Likewise, that could be a good guy too. Alright, so right around 11 miles there's the Erie Campground. This is an RV campground. I would like to say that we should be able to park here overnight if we so decide. So I guess kind of point being, like, we could start up in Prophetstown. We could potentially start right here as well too if we want to shave off 11 miles right there. But yeah, they have their boat launch right here. So I'd have to find out, can we leave a car parked here overnight? Can we get dropped off here by, like, Kayla's parents? Or can I contact the campground and say, like, hey, can we leave a car here overnight? So I will keep moving our way downriver here. Alright, so we're getting to about the 15-mile marker. So if we start in Prophetstown, maybe we camp here. Maybe we camp here. Maybe find a sandbar up on that north side. So I could be mistaken. I want to say I camped there the last time I did this river. I want to say it was right here, and then the farmers were shooting off fireworks right here. That was 4th of July, 2021. Alright, so we got another island right there. So the good news is if we start in Prophetstown, there's going to be a ton of camping options around the 17 to 18 mile markers. There's a bridge here. Alright, so we just hit 20. There's a few more right there. So this is also 10 miles since the Erie campground. Let's go that way. So a few islands is good. Work our way down the river here. Alright, so over here we got Shadow Lake. I'm going to zoom this guy out for a little bit. So we've got a little bit of a ways to Cleveland, and then after Cleveland is where you start to get into the Quad Cities. So we come down here. Looks like we will be right around 30 miles and change once you hit Cleveland. These are probably just houses. Probably no boat launches right here, but you can see there's a couple of docks. I don't expect heavy speedboat traffic through here, but there might be some as the closer we get to Quad Cities. Not that I would expect a ton of that because, late October, most people aren't going nuts. All right, so Cleveland's 31 miles. So hypothetically, if we want a 30-mile paddle, start in Prophetstown, take out of Cleveland, I do not know about the parking situation right here, so I will have to find out, but usually with these country towns, you can park on the street overnight, and since it's just going to be 24 hours or whatever, like, shouldn't be a big problem. Otherwise we have to figure out a shuttle or something, which I'm kind of assuming via Kayla's parents, since they live close by, might be good. But we'll figure that out. So that's 31 miles right there. Alternatively, if we wanted to keep going, there's this Ludine's Landing, which is another RV campsite thing. So hypothetically, we could squeeze out another mile or two, maybe park here or get permission from the management. So that might be a good alternate to the Cleveland boat ramp. Otherwise, we'll cross under 80, cross under that railroad bridge. There's a few more islands, but once we kind of get under here, we'll start getting closer to the Quad Cities. So that's a big golf course that's up there. There is a boat launch that's down here. So again, hypothetically, let's say we want to do 37 instead of 32. Assuming we can park here, of course. That's another potential option. Or if we can't park here, if we can get picked up from here. That type of thing. Yeah, it looks like there's a nice little road that takes you all the way in. So that's an option. Otherwise, as you keep going here, we'll start to get into the Quad Cities. Now, when I did this over 4th of July weekend, as we hit the 40-mile marker, that could be a boat launch right there. That looks like a boat launch right there. Looks like we got a park. Maybe. So once you start getting to this point in the Quad Cities, this is where the speedboat traffic picked up. Not a ton of docks sticking out right here. But again, that was 4th of July weekend. There wasn't a lot coming through here. So I generally regard that as being safe. There's another potential takeout point. So if we wanted to go like 43 miles, do like 21 miles, then 23 miles or something like that, we could potentially do that, or start further downriver. Personally, this last section I would see is the least scenic, because you're kind of going through a town, you're going to have road noise and whatnot. So if we're between doing, hey, let's do this later part by the Quad Cities, or let's do this earlier part upriver, I'd rather do the part upriver if we're going to be cutting down mileage. But just as I keep going here, so just so you know, this is where I took out on that 4th of July weekend site. We use this as this boat launch, and then I got permission from this church to leave cars in the parking lot for a 3-day weekend, and it wasn't a problem. So once we got done, we just walked up, grabbed our cars, and came back down here. The reason this became the cutoff is there's a dam right here, and then there's a dam right here, and neither one of them look like they've got good portages. So honestly, there's not much point to going much further unless we were doing a super long trip. You've got the Mississippi River right here too, so if we really wanted to go all the way to the Mississippi, we could, but you'd have to factor on at least an hour portage right here, and then it's just about 50 miles to get out to the Mississippi, and then you're doing the same thing, like, hey, do we get to the Mississippi, paddle up here, and kind of take out here? Like, at that point, it kind of becomes a little bit sketch and eats up a bunch of time, so I'd rather not do that. But I would say, just kind of based off my initial map, maybe start in Prophetstown, work our way about 30 miles and some odd change down to, probably Cleveland or Ludine's Landing. That's about 32 miles or so. Otherwise, if we start at Erie Campground, take off 12 miles. So let's say we start there. So that would be 14. 32 minus 12 would be 20, so it'd be 20 miles to right there. So then, let's say we go to this boat launch right here. 42 minus 12 would be 30. So we could do another 30-mile launch if we go from Erie to Harold's Landing. But again, if let's say we're just establishing kind of a 30-mile trip, I would rather kind of do this section, or hang on, let me zoom in this a little bit better. Let's say we're doing 30 miles out of this 50-mile stretch or so. I would rather do like this 30 miles or so instead of this 30 miles or so, just because this would be the least scenic. But again, whatever's easiest for people, we'll have to figure out the parking and shuttling and all of that, but this should give you a good cursory glance at everything. Looking forward to it.